when for me, I mean, that was basically last year. So like as I was saying, I was writing that book, and at that time when I was writing it, it was like the height of the pressure, and things were looking like they could be pretty pretty bleak if people didn't like speak up or whatever. But then as I was doing it, it was starting to flip, right? It was progressively flipping and flipping. But at the same time, like I was getting emails from my work that were saying basically like you need to enter in our system whether or not you got the shot, or else like just that's what they didn't say, or you'll get fired. They just said you have to do it. And so they said that you had to do it by March 1st of this year. And, I just had this in my inbox for like 6 months, like, you need to do this. And, for all this time, like I had coworkers who like I'm friendly with outside of work. They're like, did you do it yet? I'm worried about you, dude. You might get fired. And I was like, I'm not, no, and I'm not doing it. And we'll see what happens. But I mean, like that was really the first time where like I had that kind of like calm that I guess like you're saying that you're fortunate to have all the time. And I think I've definitely like, as I've become more conscious of this type of stuff and more, faithful, it's just, you have to believe that things work out for a reason and understand. And if it would have resulted in a firing, good, you don't have to work at
Right.
this crazy company that these crazy people anymore. And fortunately for me, you know, as that date came and went, nothing happened. I had talked to my boss about it like a few days before. I'm like, is this the end? And he's like, I think it'll be all right. And and within a week or two, like a few weeks later, the company sends out an email and they're like, no one, you don't have to enter your status anymore. Also, there's no more rules to come into the office. Everyone can come in and you don't have to do this or that. And I'm just like, all those poor people I work with, they were worried for me, and they got pressured into this, and for nothing. Like
Right.
they thought they were going to have the privileges to, go in there and not have any consequences, and really they have all the consequences because they didn't have that kind of like faith that things would work out. And that even if you did get fired, that there would be a problem, or that you couldn't adjust or do the next thing or go somewhere better. um and so yeah, no, I've been super grateful to learn that from people like you, that's the way to live. That's the way to live.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely your response and your reaction to things. And like you said, belief that everything's going to be like everything will work out as it's meant to work out for you. But when you panic, you don't help yourself
Yeah,
at all.
you welcome it because you might say something to somebody that you shouldn't say, and then they're gonna fire you for something. They're gonna come
Right.
up with a reason to fire you just for freaking out.
Yeah. And you opted out. You're just like, I don't
Yeah.
participate.
Yeah, I'm
And
just like, no, I'm not doing that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's the best way.
My brother did the same exact thing. He kept getting emails. He works for a certain company that makes razors that you've probably heard of, but we won't say the name. And my mom worked there, and she was able to retire before that deadline because everybody in my family's like, no, thank you. They
Yeah,
might not be like bears. Like my parents are still pretty boomer, Jason, but they're not stupid that way. They're like,
yeah,
this doesn't add up. So yeah, my brother was just like, he's like, I'm just gonna ignore it. And I was like, and I told him, like, listen, if it gets really down to it, I even sent him a whole affidavit and all this stuff. He goes, all right, I'm glad I have that. He goes, but I'm just gonna ignore it. He's like, they need me too much because of his job. He's like a
yeah.
mechanic for the
Yeah,
new
it's
team.
so costly to fire you. And the other thing is too is none of the pressure was legal. So like I mean, I know not a lot of people understood the legality of it, but it wasn't even remotely legal. So I was almost like daring them to fire me.
Yeah,
I'm like you
do
want to
it.
make that mistake for me, like fire me of all people? Like, you know how much research I've done on this? Like,
Yeah,
but but
exactly.
but no, I mean, yeah, it's if you just be calm with people about it, then it generally it's like I said, I mean, when I talked to my boss about it beforehand, he was he was the type of person that was like all in, like like he literally said at one point, and again, mind you, like this is your boss, you tend to think of like your boss is like smart, like intelligent and stuff. But he said to me like, and it's one of the things that really right at the beginning jarred me. Like I was like, wow, humanity is taking a shift in one way or the other. Like people are making a choice. He was like, on a call with my old team, he was like, the reason why the flu is going away is because people are wearing masks. Because someone asked, they're like, it is kind of strange that the flu isn't going away. And I was like, that's a bear or bear adjacent. And then, but he's like, yeah, it probably has something. It probably is because people are wearing masks. That seems to make the most sense. And I'm just like, dude, you're an actuary. Like you're supposed to understand risk. That makes no sense. Like, how can that be happening with the flu, but not with the other thing? That's the same thing. Like, but yeah, no, like, and so I had to basically confront that kind of person about it and just be like, look, I don't know if it's open-ended. They're saying I have to do this. It's open-ended. Well, I don't know if I'll get fired or not, but I'm just like letting you know I'm not doing it. and if you're just kind of straight up and not hostile, they just are like, cool. They're not going to push back on you about it.